Hey, welcome to today's video. I'm Richard Chapo. I'm a privacy lawyer in San Diego, California. So today we're taking a look at the California Consumer Privacy Act and business-to-business transactions. The CCPA, as it is known, is of course the new California privacy law. It's going into effect January 1st, 2020. Now, the CCPA was passed under kind of bizarre pressured circumstances. And so it was converted from a proposed ballot initiative to a signed law in about a week. And if you're not familiar with the legislative process, that is extremely fast. The CCPA is often compared to the GDPR in Europe, and that took about 4 years to negotiate and eventually be passed. Most California laws take 6 months to a year at least, unless it's just something obvious everybody agrees upon. So we're talking about a very quick process, and to the surprise of nobody, the result is legislation that's pretty much an unmitigated disaster. Lots of terms that are vague, lots of terms that are just completely undefined. We have strange compliance requirements, hidden in definitions. It is, boy, it is a handful. But what we heard from the California state legislature is, listen, we realize it's a mess. We'll fix it. And we're going to start passing amendments. And to their credit, they did. And they started amending various aspects of the law. However, it also became pretty apparent pretty quickly that they weren't going to fix everything. And so we still have a lot of problems with the CCPA. However, in the business-to-business data collection scenario, we have a lot of clarity, and they have done a decent job. And that amendment is AB 1355, Assembly Bill 1355. It was signed by the governor here this past month, and it addresses business-to-business communications. And what we're talking about here is what you would think of with B2B, but not necessarily advertising. But we are talking about two businesses doing business together. So two companies, let's say I'm a general contractor, you're a subcontractor. All the information that we're exchanging, there's no CCPA compliance requirement there. In those exchanges, they're business to business exchanges. Now, importantly, the amendment actually also includes even just inquiring and doing due diligence in preparation of a potential deal. So if I contact you and I say, hey, subcontractor, I have this project. Is this something you'd be interested in bidding on? You say yes. And then I go hunting around to do due diligence to see if you've been sued 55 times. Well, that information would not be subject to the CCPA. Because it would be considered part of the business to business process. Now, however, because this is California, they couldn't leave it at that. There are two exemptions to the exemption, if you will, where the CCPA still does apply. And that is one, you still have to give people the right to opt out of the sale of their information. So if there's an employee at another business that contacts you and says, I want you to, I want to opt out of the sale of my information, even though this is business to business communication, well, you have to comply with that. And you're going to have to give the proper notices as well. Now, in the real world, how often is that going to apply? I'm sure it'll happen a couple times, but probably pretty low on the to-do list. Now, the second area is data breaches. This is pretty consistent through the CCPA. If there is a data breach, individuals can sue. It doesn't matter what their relationship is vis-a-vis business to business, or if they're just straight consumers. And they can sue individually as class action party, and they can bring it against the business. There is almost no limitation in that area. And in fact, they don't even have to show an actual injury, which is pretty troubling. It'll be interesting to see if that stands up to legal scrutiny. But nonetheless, this is a benefit. I think that most of the business to business communication potential claims beyond data breaches and the do not sell my information, there's some ambiguities and what have you. However, it's difficult to see the California Attorney General really emphasizing B2B transactions as an area that they're going to go try and enforce. It is the California Consumer Privacy Act, not the California Business Privacy Act. And yes, employees are also consumers, but I think you get my drift. It's just difficult to see this being an area where there's going to be a lot of AG interest. There's going to be so many other areas where companies just aren't complying with the CCPA at all. There'll be low-hanging fruit they can go after. So if you're most of your data collection deals with business to business situations, you're probably fine. Now, because this is a California, you shouldn't celebrate yet. The AB 1355 is actually it's somewhat of a red herring because it expires January 1st, 2021. Yes, all they really were doing was kicking the can down the road. So we have this business to business exemption for a year. And at some point in 2020, we should see more legislation addressing, how this may all play out. There'll be new rules, new regulations. Who knows? Maybe they'll just renew the exemption. I don't know. But this is not set in stone. So you need to talk to your attorney. You need to set a Google alert, whatever it is, and make sure this coming summer you check again, because there's going to be more coming down the line. There's also another initiative. Alistair McTaggart, I believe is his name, is the original backer of the California Consumer Privacy Act when it was an initiative. He has introduced a new initiative for California, just to make things a little more complicated. And so you want to keep an eye on that. I don't think it contains anything directly on business to business, but given how poorly the CCPA was originally drafted, one can only surmise there's something in there that'll be harmful. So anyways, as a general lesson, there is an exemption for the B2B information that your company collects for the next year. Make sure you talk to your legal counsel to get the details on how that's going to work so that you can comply with it. As I'm recording this, it is the end of October, so it's time to get moving. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me at SoCalInternetLawyer.com, or you can post comments or questions below. However, keep in mind that is a public forum. There's no attorney-client privilege. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If not, I feel shame. Otherwise, feel free to subscribe to the channels. We'll be posting more CCPA videos. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.